Hi, thank you for coming back. Good to see you today.
You too.
How has your last 2 weeks been since we met?
Um, it's been kind of stressful, honestly. It's been really hard to keep up with school. There's a lot of reading, and I've always been really slow with my reading, and it makes me tired. So it's always hard to get through large chunks of reading, especially when I want to take notes, and I like taking thorough notes. But yeah.
Okay, that makes sense with school. So what we're going to do a little bit in this session today is kind of get an assessment. So I'm going to ask you more questions, get to know you a little bit more. So that's what I will be writing down is just some of my notes. And if there's anything that I ask you that you don't feel comfortable with, you can always pass. We don't have to talk about it. We don't have to talk about it today or whenever you're ready. So if you don't want to talk about it today, you are more than welcome to say that. Some of the questions may be a little different and a little weird. So if you don't feel comfortable, you can go ahead and tell me that. So please be open about that. And then do you remember the confidentiality rules and kind of what
like privacy.
about? Yeah, and privacy. Okay, so we don't need to go over that. So today's kind of going to be an assessment, probably about 20 minutes. Do you have any questions yet?
No, I don't think so. Not right now.
Okay, so we'll kind of go through it, and then if you do have any questions, want to pause, whatever, we can go ahead and do that. Okay, so I got the general information from you a little bit before. So you told me that you recently graduated from CWI.
Yeah.
Right? Right. And you were wanting to get your bachelor's degree?
Yes. Hopefully master's eventually.
Okay. And what about employment?
So right now I work part-time. I work at the Y as an aquability instructor. So it's like individual adaptive swim lessons for people with disabilities. It's really fun. I love it. It's awesome. It's probably one of the best parts of my week when I do it. Like it fills my cup.
That's so good to hear. Not a lot of people can say that they enjoy their work that much.
Well, I think I've gone through so many jobs that I have had a lot that I didn't enjoy. So it's awesome to just really have this job that is awesome and it's in the field that I want to go into.
That's so nice to hear. And then I do have a question about would you call yourself a religious person?
No, not really. I was never raised religiously. My mom was raised in the church, but if I ever went to church, it was like a one-off thing. It was with like a friend or something like that, and I only ever really went because that was the condition of the sleepover.
I've heard that. Yeah, I have heard of that. Okay, then what about your current living situation?
I live with my parents. I don't have to pay rent, which is really nice. But it can feel, even though it's only three of us and it's a decent sized house, it can feel kind of cramped because I really want my own space. But I don't want to have to try and pay the astronomical rent prices on top of everything else right now. And especially with going to school full time and working part time, I couldn't afford it right now, even if I wanted to.
So you live with both of your parents,
yep.
Even though it's kind of a good sized house, it's just not your own space.
Yeah, I love my parents, but it's like I just feel sometimes it's just one of those I want my own space, get away from me kind of a thing. I wish the kitchen was organized how I wanted kind of a thing. It's my parents' house I'm living with.
You're kind of like a roommate, but then also it's your parents and family.
Yeah.
Okay. saw you, the reading has been a
Yeah.
lot.
It's a lot of like issues. I think it all relates back to stress and anxiety.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just there's a lot going on, and it makes it hard to focus. And then when I do focus, I start to get groggy, or I can't focus for long enough to make it really work.
So how long would you say anxiety has kind of been with you? Kind of.
Um, in a way that is almost a complex question. I think I've always had a lot of anxiety. It perked up a bit in high school, but it really came out right around the pandemic.
Okay.
I've always been like a people pleaser, which makes things hard. I've been a perfectionist, and like I get super anxious when I can't get something done to the degree that I wanted it to be, or just nervous that people are going to judge me about it, or just about anything. Like I get like so overwhelmed with everything that the house isn't clean, or people are going to judge me for that, or like my car's dirty, or I didn't get this assignment done to the degree that the rubric said.
These are all very common things, like you mentioned, having the kitchen organized like you like, or your car in your house. When we're busy, things are gonna fall into not exactly how we want them to be. Who would you say is your who would you say is your close family?
So I'm an only child, so it was always just me and my mom and technically my stepdad, but I've known him since I was 4. He officially adopted me a couple years ago. So, it's been me and my mom and my dad. I'm pretty close with my grandparents, mostly my grandmas, my mom's mom, and then my mom's, I guess, stepmom, technically. I've always been really close with them, and then my grandpa as well on my mom's side.
And your grandparents, do they live around here?
One of them does, and then the others live up in Washington. So I don't get to see them as much as I'd really like to.
Would you consider anybody else your family?
We have a pretty like close knit neighborhood for the most part. So some of my next door neighbors, especially the ones that have been there for a really long time, Steve and Rhonda. Steve actually just passed away suddenly a couple months ago. He was right around my mom's age. But they've always kind of been around, and it's been nice to have them. And so they've seen me grow up.
So your family has recently had a loss.
There's been quite a few, in the last few years. I had when I was born, I had 5 great grandparents, and 2 of them passed when I was younger, and then the other 3 passed in the last 2 years.
Sorry to hear about that. If you want to go into that sometime, we can always.
Yeah, probably not right now. But
okay. So how are you doing? Great.
I think I'm good.
Good. Okay. So a little bit. Just got a little bit more for you. I'm just gonna bug you with a couple other questions. So you live with your parents, and just the way that the economy is right now, it's just so ridiculous to be able to live on your own.
Yeah. Well, honestly, yeah, I think even if I had moved out, I'd probably be back with my parents, just because of how expensive everything is. Even if I wanted to move out right now, I wouldn't be able to do it on my own, and I wouldn't know where to look for everything right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then what about your transportation?
So
Do you have your own vehicle?
yes, I do. I actually own it. Like, I officially got the title a couple months ago. I was able to buy it and pay it off over the course of about 2 years, which is awesome. Yep.
Okay, so you're not a part of church, you have your school, you have your work. Is there any other kind of communities you would say you're a part of?
I mean, not that I can think of. I mean, maybe my neighborhood, but it's not the same as it used to be. It's not where it used to be like a ton of people that I'd see constantly. It's more of just a few people now because a lot of people have either moved or passed away or they're just not like the same in the same space to like just communicate and like see you as much. Like they're not outside to just wave hi to as often as they used to be, kind of a thing.
So we kind of went over that you said anxiety. You feel like anxiety has kind of always been there. Have you been in counseling before?
Yes, right after the pandemic hit is when I first started looking into counseling, and I did that for about a year, and then the person I was with, she left, went to a different position where I couldn't follow her, and she referred me to some other people, and I tried one, and it just didn't work, and so I kind of just stopped.
That makes sense. It's not really worth it if you're not with somebody that you feel comfortable. It needs to benefit you. Yeah.
Well, and I guess I got into it a couple months ago too, back in like May. But then a similar thing happened where a couple months after we started, she received an offer for like a position she couldn't refuse. I couldn't follow her, stuff like that, and so I've been struggling.
Oh, darn it. Well, I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think, so last time we talked a little bit about when your anxiety kind of comes on and there's a lot going on. Sometimes you kind of just sit and it's just a lot, so kind of just checking out.
Yeah.
Something?
Yeah, I definitely use that term.
Okay.
Feels overwhelming, especially if I feel like the people around me like aren't, that either don't care or don't recognize it. I decide to I end up like self-isolating, I guess, and kind of just checking out.
That's definitely something that we'll work on together. And then, how else? We'll go into that another time. How would you say your current health is?
It's okay. I've not been eating the best recently. A while, not that long ago, I was going to the gym really regularly and I really liked it, but it's just there's been so much going on that I haven't really been able to. So I'm not like in bad health, but not like great health either.
Yeah, and that makes sense that you just don't have time to go to the gym when you're busy and working and school and reading and homework.
I'd like to, but it's just one of those things that if I were to go, even if I did force myself to go, the entire time I was there, I'd feel like there's other things I need to do.
Yeah, and that shouldn't be that. If you want to work out, it should be something fun to do, not just always worried I'm here, but my head's over here. If that makes sense. And then what about, and you don't have to share this with me right now, do you have a history of substance abuse?
I don't. I have seen it a bit in my family. My mom's brother has struggled with drugs since he was young, and then I always kind of suspected that my parents, at least at one point, had like some alcoholism. It was never like diagnosed or anything like that. It's not as bad as it used to be, but it kind of seemed for a while when I was in like middle school, high school, they drank quite a lot.
And then what about, Have you ever had thoughts of harming yourself or suicide? We don't have to get into this today.
Never. It's never gotten that serious. There was a time or two that I like decided to punch a wall. Didn't hurt anything except myself. And I wasn't thinking that far ahead to where it's like it wasn't like I wanted to hurt myself. I just like on it like if I had it would have had a plate to smash, that probably would have been better. But not better. But like
Yeah. But no, that's okay. Kind of when we just have frustration and all of this anger and all of these different things kind of coming at us, stress here, like eventually it needs to be released. And so, do you feel like that's something we could work on? Is kind of a little bit of coping with all of the stuff and the stress and the anxiety and kind of bring that together?
Yes, definitely. Because punching a pillow doesn't work.
It isn't. It's too soft, isn't
Yeah.
it? It doesn't work. It's been quiet. It's too quiet. Do you have any questions for me?
I don't think so.
Okay. Thank you for all of the silly and awkward questions today. Do you feel like you want to wait another 2 weeks to come in?
Probably next week. Maybe
week?
we
Okay.
can.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So thank you for coming in today and squeezing me in next week, so we'll be able to dig a little bit deeper. So thank you for your time today, Jade.
Thank you.
Thank you.